Hi, I'm Kyle, a tired therapist.
And I'm Jackie, also a tired therapist.
And together, we are
Two tired therapists. Welcome to the pod.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello, party people.
What's up, cool cats and kittens? This is our...
Well,
here
we are.
You get to
Here
explain.
we are. Well, so don't adjust your microphones or your headphones. We may sound a little different today.
It's a smidge.
Because we are breaking history in Two Tired
Right.
Therapists, where we are doing our first virtual recording.
Yes.
Because one of us decided to get COVID, being me.
I was going to say, the way you're leading up to it makes it sound like it's me, but...
But it was me.
It was Kyle.
It was me. I did. I am okay now. I don't think I have COVID at this point, but it was rough. It almost became one tired therapist.
Yeah. We were getting the funeral roast ready to go.
Yeah. We were maybe joking that Justin was planning his ascension into the podcast before I was even dead. So here we are.
Well, we're glad you made it out of the COVID.
Out of the COVID,
haze.
Thank you. I will try not to sniffle or cough into the microphone. One, because I don't want producer Justin to give me a look because he'll have to edit that out.
He'll be so thrilled.
So yeah, that's where we're at.
It's fine. We a long time ago I had a different podcast. We did it always virtual, and it was fine.
It was fine.
It was fine.
I think maybe it'll be better. Who knows?
Maybe we won't have it. At least the dogs won't be bothering us like half the time.
That's true. Yeah. Yes, that's true. That's true.
Those are the good times. But yeah, Kyle, tell us what's tired today.
Well, can I first? I have.
Ooh.
We did some in producer Justin's episode some dad jokes.
Oh God, don't talk about the trauma.
One of our listeners, Anne. Hi, Anne.
Hi, Anne.
A friend of the pod. She had a dad joke that she requested I give to Justin.
Oh, I don't like that.
If I may.
I don't like that.
So Justin's got
getting
his
microphone.
Great.
Oh, no.
Great. So he probably knows it, which is gonna make me really upset. What do you call a deer without eyes?
No idea.
Well,
on that note, this day was just made.
I figured he would probably already know it, but she thought she would be clever and get him with it. So sorry, Anne.
Well, Anne just made Justin's day, most likely. So,
there you go.
I hate that for me.
Anyway, no, what I'm really tired about, other than that, of what just transpired, is people with baby on board stickers.
Yeah.
I don't care. No. Yeah.
Same. I don't give a shit.
I don't care. I don't need to know. Like, to me, people put that of like, oh, don't hit my car because I have a baby on board.
Right. Like, I'm gonna hit your car. I'm not gonna hit your car just because you have that sticker. Like, I was gonna hit your car before that sticker got put on there. What?
It actually makes me want to hit your car more.
A little bit. Same. Sometimes I think about that. This is my evil thoughts, my intrusive evil thoughts. I'm like,
because I'm like, oh. So I just think it's weird.
There was one time I saw one that I was like, okay, you know what? I would fuck with these people. It said baby all up in this shit. And I was like, that's amazing.
That's
I'm
funny.
like, I will hang out with you guys. That's fine. Not with your baby, just you guys.
Because sometimes it feels like those people with the baby on board, it's like this weird privilege where they're like, well, I have a baby, so you should change your life for me.
Yeah.
And it's a no. It's a no for me.
Yeah, this is where
I'm going to continue to drive 85 miles an hour around you.
Right.
And your baby.
Yeah.
So if you don't like it, move.
Yeah. This is where sometimes I feel like, people who have kids feel like very much more entitled than any other, I guess, class of people in some ways. Anyways.
Yeah. So take your baby on board stickers, take them off. Don't care. Care.
Well, mine's kind of along the same vein,
actually. What you got? Oh, perfect.
and I don't know if we've ever done this one. I'm so sorry if we ever did, but I'm tired of it still. Is all those, when people put like their family stickers on the back of their car and they have like 10 kids. I'm so tired of that. Like, you're just telling people, like, one, all about your family. Like, what if you have a stalker? That's weird. Like, why would you
Right.
put all that on your car? And two, like I don't know. I don't love it. I think it just doesn't look
It's yeah.
good.
Well, especially if they have
it.
10 kids. I'm like, Duggars.
Oh my God.
Did you watch that documentary?
No, I need to. I've been.
You need to.
I know, and it's one of them. Sidebar. I have such a I remember I watched the Duggars when their show first came out on TLC way back when. I think I was in college at the time, and I didn't love them. I watched it because I was fascinated, because I'm like, this is so just not what I'm used to. Like, very rural, like very religious. Like, that was not really how I was raised, and so. It was just, I don't know. I've had a lot of people recommend it to me, and I'm just, it's gonna be like ew for me. It's gonna be an ew.
Yeah, it is.
Because I always thought Jim Bob was.
But it's to me, when you see those families that have 10 kids, it's like, well, one, either you're Catholic and don't believe in birth control, one, or two, you're these like white nationalists that are just trying to get more
you're like
white babies into the world.
Yeah, I feel like I forget what it's the Institute of Basic Life or something. I forget what the place that they're the Basic Life Institute or basic
something like that.
Yeah, it's like that's their church. I feel like when you're that religious and like you use children as like I don't know, it's like a weird way to be like I'm real fertile. Like, I think that's so strange, because that's really what that's what you're saying. You're saying we get with each other in the Lord's way, I guess. I don't know. Like, I think it's weird. I thought the Duggar thing was always weird. And then they almost had like 2 other kids die in childbirth / like when they were infants. And I'm like, and then they didn't give a shit. And I'm like, anyways, we could have it.
Well, you've got 40 other kids, so they're fine. But we'll have to get into the Duggars sometime.
Oh my God. Anyways. Okay. Well, yeah. So yeah.
On that note, speaking of the Duggars.
Well, actually, that's not a bad segue for this episode. I don't.
In a weird way.
Yeah, so Kyle and I had this chat a little bit ago about we should get back into the diagnostic stuff, because we just really haven't done episodes like that. Anyways, so we were like, what's weird? What's a weird? And so we were talking about different types of diagnoses. So this is a weird diagnosis to talk about. One of probably the most famous, I would say, if you're like in the field, knowing, because you know this, but it was one of the first I learned about when I did my diagnostic class, because my professor was like, this is a weird one, but it is Frotteurism. And it is, so we were talking about the paraphilic disorders, because there's several, there's like an umbrella of them. But essentially, paraphilic disorders are recurrent, intense, sexually arousing fantasies, urges, or behaviors that are distressing or disabling, and that involve inanimate objects, children, or non-consenting adults, or suffering or humiliation of a person or a partner, with the potential to cause harm. That is pretty much straight out of the DSM. It's said that paraphilia disorders are often connected with childhood trauma and an abnormal understanding of romantic relationships. And there's different subcategories. They all fall into some different subcategory, but Frotteurism, I think, is probably the most interesting one, or the most maybe least well-known one, probably to the outside world. I'll say I've never diagnosed it. I've never seen it. I don't know about you. It's not something that's ever...
Not to my knowledge.
And the nature of it, I don't think you would necessarily seek treatment for it.
Unless it's like mandated.
Yeah, and we can talk about that later. I have a little
because I don't think
treatment section.
Because again, it's kind of a pleasurable thing, so people aren't necessarily seeking treatment for it.
Yeah, it's interesting. There was a study that I'm basically lifting 99% of this episode from, that we will link in the show notes, I guess. We will source, and it really isn't. I Googled it. I mean, and you can get like the Wikipedia, and you can look at all that. That's fine. But there's not really like a ton. Like, I even tried to do like Frotteurism in the media, or Frotteurism in like TV shows. Nothing comes up, and I can't think of anything that I've ever seen that like really encompasses what this diagnosis is, but I will tell you about it. So, Frotteuristic disorder, I think that's how you say it, is where one has a recurrent and intense sexual arousal from touching or rubbing against a non-consenting person. This can be manifested by fantasies, urges, or behaviors, and it's got to last for at least 6 months for the diagnosis. And obviously, you have to have some type of impairment, clinical impairment. So essentially what it is, it's like a person rubbing themselves against another person without them knowing. The best kind of example I could probably give to this is like if you were on the subway and you were all crunched together on the subway, and some guy was like rubbing his dick on you, like that's kind of what, like that's what it is. Like I said, I couldn't find any other like examples in the media or any kind of other like famous examples of it. And even when it was described to me in grad school, my teacher was like, imagine being on the subway and like somebody basically is rubbing up against you. Like that's what it is. I've seen some Reddit stories now that I'm the queen of Reddit that are kind of like this that I hate reading because it is like, it's really, it's, it's like when we talked about like if you've got a kink, like it's fine to have a kink. Sure. Do your kink thing, but don't involve people who don't know they're a part of it.
And that's right. This isn't really a kink.
No, this is not a kink.
Part of it is
them not knowing.
There's a non-consensual part
where
you're rubbing. I don't even think it has to be like your dick or anything. It can just be like you're rubbing up against them. Yeah. It could be like, oh, it's just crowded and I'm rubbing up against
like
you.
It could be this person's rubbing their hip against, like your leg or something. Like it doesn't have to be like sexual with genitals, but I mean that's anyways.
But I guess it could be.
It could be, yeah. So this study that, like I said, we'll link it in the show notes. They had this to say about it, which I think is pretty accurate. So, and then this was in 2022. Frotteurism is a poorly understood due to its lack of reporting. Some limited research suggests that this behavior has more often been reported in young adolescent males between 15 and 25 years. One case illustrates the disorder in the setting of a 12-year-old boy. The exact prevalence is unknown, but a wide prevalence range between 9% and 35% has been reported. Female frauders are rare. Target victims are mostly female, mostly younger, though some studies have suggested older age women, which I think is probably unfortunately accurate. I think it's probably
it makes sense too.
More guys doing this. I don't
developmentally
know. Yeah, like, and I think it just I agree. It's like childhood trauma-y, like you don't understand. I wouldn't even say romantic, but just like relationships in general, maybe, because like that's just like a very strange like thing to do. But anyways, there's a couple other disorders that are associated with it, and we'll talk about differential diagnosis because some of them are differentials. But these can be associated with Frotteurism. One is social anxiety, which I don't know if I love or agree with, but that's fine.
Okay, sure.
I did not explain how these were linked, so I cannot explain that, but we could speculate. A TBI, traumatic brain injury, it is also a differential diagnosis for Frotteurism because for those who don't know what a TBI is, obviously it's a traumatic brain injury, and that means like you get knocked up on the head somewhere and now your brain don't work well, for like layman's terms. But it also like when you have a TBI, your inhibitions and your impulse control is very poor, which that makes sense for Frotteurism because like a lot of the times people who've got TBIs, like they just can't regulate like they could if they had without
it. And depending on where their TBI could be, their behaviors, their emotions. Sometimes there's a huge shift in their personality. Yeah.
If you like psychology and would like to read a really cool story about, frontal lobe damage, look up Phineas Gage. That's like probably the most famous like TBI story. A rod like just smashed through his head. And then the personality differences from before the accident versus after is really interesting. Anyways, another one, history of sexual abuse. Obviously, I think that's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Intellectual disabilities. I mean, it makes sense to me. That does. Substance abuse. We'll talk about that because it's a differential. And then the presence of other or more than one paraphilia, especially exhibitionism in Frotteurism.
Oh, okay.
So the people at home, exhibitionism.
Flashing.
Yeah, you like to flash. It's again, I've never seen that in practice. I've never seen like any of the really paraphilic. Well, I wouldn't say. I don't know. I wouldn't say people are actively seeking out treatment for these things.
Yeah, I've never seen a flasher in general.
Oh,
like personally,
me either. I'm kind of grateful for that.
Yeah,
it's never happened to me. I can't say that has, but I think of there's an episode of The Office where Phyllis gets flashed. It's actually really funny. You should watch. That's another episode you should watch. It's really hilarious. They get like they're trying to get a picture, but she can't remember. So then Pam just draws a picture of Dwight, and then Dwight is basically looking for himself. It's really funny.
Oh my god.
So they go along with other paraphilia disorders. So differentials. Are there any other like differentials you can think of that I didn't mention? There's a couple others that might go along with this, or you might need to look at before you give somebody this diagnosis.
None that come to my head. I don't know what else.
Yeah, I wasn't like, when I
There
read
would
this, I
be.
was like, oh, this makes sense, but others not. So I'll talk about the main one. So the substance use disorder or substance abuse disorder, the study specifically mentioned psychostimulants like meth. Cocaine is another one that they mentioned. May present with an episode that may mimic Frotteurism. So obviously when you're high on amphetamines, methamphetamines, psychostimulants, you may be doing some
Okay.
odd things.
Sure.
That being said, traumatic brain injury, frontal and frontotemporal deficits resulting from a traumatic brain injury can present with a similar lack of inhibition and increased sexual behaviors.
Right.
However, cognitive deficits are typically present as a result of a brain injury. But like we said, you don't have your inhibitions are much different when you have a brain injury. So this kind of makes sense. Conduct disorder and antisocial personality disorder were also a differential, but you kind of have to look at, I guess, the motivation or like the reason why for the behavior. Because like, I mean, with antisocial, you have like a lack of, personal regard for other people. Now, are you doing it because you enjoy it, or are you just trying to piss off that person? Like that Frotteurism is like, I'm getting off on you, like rubbing my foot on your leg or something. Like that's like, could you imagine? Oh my God. I have a story for another day.
Oh God.
It's not Frotteurism, but it's, yeah.
I would think with the substance use, I would think more of like a, maybe it is a stimulant, but like ecstasy or.
I think ecstasy is technically a stimulant. I think it is.
Or is it like a hallucinogen?
I thought about like shrooms and stuff. I'm like, that would be.
Right. I mean, definitely like ecstasy people are very like tactile, and I can see you rubbing on somebody.
It's a psychedelic. I don't know.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. I don't. You have to Google it by MDMA. You can't just Google ecstasy. You have to use the actual methyldilaxylin methamphetamine as a stimulant and minor psychedelic properties.
Oh, okay. So it is a stimulant.
Yeah.
It has the methyl whatever. That's a stimulant.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be more of what I would think.
I've never done ecstasy. That's not my thing.
Neither
I've
have
seen
I.
somebody on ecstasy and it is strange.
Yeah.
It's like, I can see why Frotteurism, like you could get, because you're literally like rubbing yourself. Anyways.
Yeah.
Let me see. Yep. And conduct intent. So then there were some others. So, another one that they mentioned, did not explain why, but, I can kind of see it. OCD can be a differential for this.
Yeah.
Like, because it could be a compulsion, because you're saying like, I have to rub myself on you. Otherwise bad things will happen.
Yeah.
So there was that. Mood disorders is another one. I couldn't think of like a mood disorder where that would be like a symptom or like a sign of it.
Like I'm depressed, so I'm rubbing myself on you.
Yeah, but like to get off sexually though, like usually your like libido goes way down with depression. Not always, but usually it does. I don't know. I couldn't think of like a mood. I mean, I guess you could think of like bipolar disorder, but I don't know
maybe
that
if you were like manic, I guess.
Yeah, like, but they didn't even talk about bipolar. I was like, I guess maybe that's what they're talking about. I don't know. I could see bipolar being more of because that can be a hallmark of bipolar is like increased sexual behavior, but usually you're like actually having sex. You're not rubbing yourself on somebody else. But anyways, other sexual dysfunction disorders they did not name. It just said that's what it is, and then other paraphilic disorders like we talked about. That's the other one.
It sounds like they really just named everything else in the DSM.
I know. I was like, this is just really like, oh, here's this. Because I mean, I was saying, I'm like, it's not an anxious thing. Because if you had anxiety, you probably wouldn't be doing this. Which is why I thought social anxiety was really odd. Because I'm like, you wouldn't. When you're so socially anxious, you can't even really hardly do anything in front of somebody else, let alone like.
Well, because a differential diagnosis usually means the symptoms look very similar. Yeah. So like ADHD is sometimes a differential diagnosis for anxiety.
Yeah.
So social anxiety, that doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't. I don't know.
Because typically they avoid public areas and people. So not sure about that one.
Yeah, I am pulling up my little DSM right here just so we can.
I should have. I don't have mine. I don't have one here.
I thought I lost it. It's great. It was a good day. So it doesn't really like. It has diagnostic features, comorbidity. Is that really all of them? Yeah, I mean that's really it. is those like 4 or 5 that we talked about. I don't know. It's like I said, the study even itself, and really truly, it's not well documented. It's not well studied. It's not like something that people are seeking out treatment for. In most cases, you're probably going to catch a case and have to go to treatment for it. You're probably going to catch a sex case for it, which makes it even rougher. But
that's where I would think people who get caught doing this and charges and have to go to treatment. That's where I would think most of this happens.
Yeah. It's yeah, I wouldn't want to get, because truly you could get charged with, like, you could get hit with the sex offender registry for this, because it's but then the study kind of talked about a little bit like how people don't really report this, and people who are the victims of this probably don't even know that this is happening. So like the numbers are all around. We cannot say for certain, like, what's the prevalence, what's the victimology, like there's really nothing.
That's how I conceptualize what this is, of like you're on the like subway and there's a bump and a guy like knocks into you and kind of like feels like he grabs your arm, but it's you're kind of like, oh, did he just grab it because he fell? Whatever, it doesn't matter. Like, it's not clear, but to the person that did it, it's like, oh, that was so good. Like I rubbed your arm and you didn't know it. Like that. That's what kind of gets them off.
Yeah,
so I can see where people don't. It's not like someone literally like took out their wiener and is like rubbing it on
right.
You. Like,
yeah, I guess I made that sound more nefarious than it is. It's really not. I could literally be like, somebody, like, I'm moving in the train car and I kind of put my hand on your back to like move you over, but like really inside I just had a moment with myself. Like, literally, that's what I like. That's the nicest way I can say it. Like, how do I say it?
I had a moment with
I just had a moment where I took a deep breath, and I mean, that's like, it doesn't have to be, it really, and they stress that about some of the other paraphilic disorders. It doesn't have to be like genital stuff. It really doesn't. It can be non-genital, all of that. But yeah, it's really, the whole thing is very interesting. But here, I'm going to read the other, because it's an umbrella of like several, but paraphilic disorders are included in this manual are voyeuristic disorder, which is spying on other people, which is probably a pretty well-known thing. And you can definitely get charged for that. Exhibitionist disorder, exposing the genitals. Frotteuristic disorder, touching or rubbing against a non-consenting individual. Sexual masochism disorder, which is the humiliation, bondage, or suffering. Sexual sadism disorder, inflicting humiliation, bondage, or suffering. Pedophilic disorder, which is probably something everybody knows, is you focus on children. And then fetishistic disorder, using non-living objects or having a highly specific focus on non-genital body parts. And transvestic disorder, engaging in sexually arousing cross-dressing. Those are the main umbrella. So anyways, which we could talk about the other ones too. But
I bet you the transvestic will be out.
Yeah.
In the new DSM, they'll probably knock that one out of there.
Yeah, I bet it will be too. I'm surprised. I was honestly, so when I read it today, I was like, oh, I'm surprised.
Yeah.
This is even, I was like, oh, it's not very woke of the DSM to have this in here. No. I'm not very pro. Yeah. And I'm going off the 5. I'm not going off the TR. Is there a TR right now?
Yes, but they only changed like 2 things.
For those,
they didn't change that much.
For those listening, TR means text revision. So like when they put out a DSM, they usually put out, like, I have the DSM-5, but then there's a DSM-5 TR, which means they, like, sometimes they'll change stuff, they'll take stuff out. Yeah. Were you trained on the 5?
Yeah.
Okay.
It had just come out when I started grad school.
See, I learned on the 4.
Oh, I shouldn't have said that because now everybody knows maybe how old I am. Oh God.
I'll just say
I went to my master's. I was so young. I was like 19.
You were a child prodigy at 6. It's fine.
It's so crazy.
No, I learned on the 4 TR, and that was as soon as I won't say as soon as I graduated, but pretty quickly after I graduated, the 5 came out, and then that became. But then I worked 5, so I could still use my actual knowledge, which was nice. Anyways, because a lot changed from the 4 TR to the 5. But,
yeah.
Anyways, well, let's take a break, and then we can talk about treatment for this, and then we can hypothesize how we would treat a person.
Oh God.
Yeah, I was trying to think about that earlier, and I was like, oh no. We take a break, just digest all of that, and we will be right back. We're back.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. We're talking about treatment for Frotteurism.
Bert.
Whoop. Okay, so this is something from the study. Like I said, this is direct quotes from them. So treatment for Frotteurism is usually not sought due to a lack of clinical or functional impairment. Additionally, individuals with Frotteuristic disorder rarely seek treatment on their own and may make individuals uncomfortable, feel ashamed or guilty about their behaviors while seeking help. This paraphilic disorder often comes to light after being caught for sexual assault and mandated to seek treatment by the legal system or are asked to do so by their friends or family members. Since the literature on this topic is sparse, treatment modalities are often generalized for all paraphilic disorders. A multimodal approach is recommended, i.e. one that includes individual and family or community participation in addition to psychotherapeutic and pharmacological interventions. I will talk about the pharmacological interventions in one moment. But Kyle, if you had a individual come into your office and say, I'm a frauder, they wouldn't do that. But if they were like, I'm a frauder, what would you do? What would you use? How would you treat them?
My gosh, I don't even know.
Pretend you won't refer them to somebody else, because that's what I would do. I'd be like, I gotta refer you to somebody who specializes in like sex. I hate to say sex offender, but I would probably recommend they go through like sex offender treatment.
Yeah, or I think what's the PC, like sexually maladaptive behaviors.
Sure. Sure.
I think, I guess what kind of first comes to mind is just trying to not have them do it to strangers, I guess.
Yeah.
And I would say, like, is there some way we can explore this in like a sexual relationship?
Yeah, or like yeah.
Could we do this with someone who's consensual? Like, I know that's not a part of it, but like think of it more of a risk, like risk. What am I trying to say?
Risk reward.
Like, risk reward, or like consequence of like if you keep doing this to people, you might get caught, you might go to jail. So like, I know it's not gonna be as good, but maybe we ask like our partner, like, hey, can I just kind of like rub up against you?
Well, you could like, yeah, you could definitely be like, if they get into a relationship where they have whatever you want to call it, like friends with benefits, and they could say like, hey, this is kind of like this is my kink, I guess. This is my thing. Like, can I just rub up on you at any given time? Like, are you okay with that? And like, can you let me know when you're, and like that would probably, I guess that takes I guess that takes away the non-consenting part of it, I suppose. But like, also, I don't know. Like, it's
kind of.
I guess I don't know. I would also kind of wonder. This sounds bad. I don't know how to explain this any better, but like, I guess I wonder how distressing this is to them. Like, is it something that like because I'm like, are you coming in because somebody was like, you're being weird?
Right.
You got to get your ass into treatment. Or are you like genuinely like distressed by what you're doing?
Right. You're like, I don't like that I do this.
Because I think your treatment sort of depends on their motivation level. I hate to say it like that. Of course. But like if they're genuinely distressed, maybe it's like it could be, I don't know, in some really poor way, it could be like a really bad coping mechanism. Like you could look at this behavior as like, I don't know how to cope with maybe not having a romantic relationship, or I don't know how to cope with some trauma I experienced. Like, I'm going to do this. I don't know. Like I think that needs to be looked at a little bit differently. I don't know. That's kind of how
I think you'd have to see, well, part of that would be the diagnosis too, of figuring out like what's the motivation.
Right.
You know? And if there's a trauma attached to it, or like you said, they don't really want to do it. I mean, you could do some even basic behavioral stuff and just do some, punishment reward kind of stuff. That might work.
I was thinking a good modality, I guess, if you didn't want to go like the drug route, would be like maybe CBT. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, that'd be easy.
ACT might be a decent way to sort of like figure out what you value. Like, do you value your freedom and not being in jail? Like, maybe like
what's the value of rubbing against people? What does that come?
I'm not saying like you can. I don't think you could do full ACT all the time, but I think some of the stuff could probably, some of the ACT's principles could probably apply to a decent amount. But otherwise, I don't really know. I mean, like you could do like strict behavioral, like, but I don't know that there's really much else. Because DBT is not going to really do much for you in that regard. Like, like just cognitive therapy. I mean, there's just so much. Unless you really get somebody, like, I guess maybe, well, if you're of that thought process or that modality, maybe psychoanalysis might be worth a shot, depending on your how much you want to get into psychoanalysis. Like, I don't know that I would, but it's not my favorite thing.
Yeah,
But
it could be. But
but
could
maybe
go back more
talking
to any trauma.
yeah, but maybe talking about like your childhood and that kind of stuff, maybe that would help with that. I don't know.
Mhm.
I obviously do trauma focused things.
Yeah.
But they do talk about meds a little bit for this, which
Yeah, I'm interested at it's probably going to be like ADHD medication to help with the impulsivity. Right?
actually
No?
what the study says. So they say meds that suppress the sexual drive, i.e. by suppressing testosterone, and those that reduce the sexual drive, such as serotoninogenic antidepressants, anti-androgens, specifically GnRH analogs. This is going way beyond me, have been used as an evidence-based modality of treatment to reduce impulsivity and hypersexuality in severe cases. Certain
So like Zoloft?
serotogenic antidepressants such as fluoxetine, sertraline, and paroxetine have had modest success in mitigating increased sexual drive in those who may have comorbid conditions such as depression or OCD. So like I don't know.
What were they?
The drugs.
Yeah.
It was fluoxetine,
Wait, I gotta look them up. Fluoxetine is Prozac.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
What were the other ones?
Sertraline.
Sertraline. Whoa, I can't spell that. Oh man. Sertraline is Zoloft.
Yeah.
Zoloft has a big sexual side effect.
Yeah.
And then what was the third one?
Paroxetine, Paroxetine.
Paxil.
Yeah. So like basically antidepressants, which spoiler to anybody out there who's on antidepressants, no judges here, but they really do kill your sex drive like really bad.
They really do. Which you would think, depression also kills your sex drive, but
yeah. So they're saying basically give these people antidepressants and they help reduce. I mean, really, that's it. I don't know what GnRH analogs are. That's science is not my strong suit. Very clearly, obviously, you're listening to this podcast. You're like, what the fuck? But yeah, I guess you could, and I think about that. I mean,
it makes sense.
They do. It's not often, but I mean, I have seen it in settings, in controlled settings where people are given medications to suppress some of that stuff. I have not Frotteurism disorder, but I did. There was a guy on one of the units I worked in prison who just would literally, and he was very mentally ill. Like this wasn't like a normal person, but he would like really have sex with her, anything, didn't matter what it was, to the point where they couldn't have a mattress anymore because he had really fucked the mattress too often to where like it wasn't so, and then they ended up giving him like an antidepressant, which helped. I mean, it basically made his sex drive more of like an average sex drive versus like literally this man was like every minute of the day was having sex with somebody in his room. So there's that. So I've seen it used, but I don't know that's but so that's thoughts?
Well, I think it can help with the impulsivity too, because those medications usually there's not really antidepressants. That's not really a category of medication. It's usually the SSRIs or SSNIs or whatever.
Serotogenetic or whatever the study's calling them.
Yeah. But I think those medications that they listed, at least this is how one of our nurse practitioners described it to me, is some of them tend to be like not necessarily sedating, but they calm you down. So if you have a lot of like concentration issues or attention issues with depression, they give you these medications that kind of calm you down versus other antidepressant medications that are like agitators and will give you energy. So I think those are more like, I don't even know what medications, maybe like Prozac or something. That kind of make you feel restless. So it would make sense that they're giving you things like Zoloft and that you do typically see more of, have that like sedating, or not sedating is not the right word, but
like I mean just
calming.
More of a calming effect. But I mean it's just,
and they do kill your libido. Zoloft is probably, at least in my professional experience,
I would say Zoloft
is the worst.
A lot of people
men and women actually.
I've seen a lot.
It's rare in women, but I have seen it.
I mean, there are people who came in for services that were like, I've been on this and I want to see a psychiatrist because I'm like, this has basically made me like nothing.
Yep.
And I've known
You're
people.
like, nope, that's normal.
It's unfortunate, but anyways, so that's Frotteurism. I know it's a little short, but there's really not a whole on rubbing against somebody for your own sexual pleasure. That's just not something that is studied.
Well, I guess we're all trying to pursue happiness.
I'd love for you to be a lawyer of somebody who got charged with this. Like, he's just trying to pursue his own journey. It's fine.
That's literally the First Amendment, I'm pretty sure. Life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness.
You're gonna become one of those.
Pretty sure.
Don't take away don't tread on me.
Don't tread on me. Yeah, I'm gonna put a big flag on my CRV.
Oh my God.
Can you imagine?
Oh my God. Well, and that's what I think probably some people are like, this is, I don't know. I guess, like we said, you're probably not going to be seeking treatment for this on your own. No. You're probably going to be mandated, and it's probably not going to be fun, and you're probably not going to like it.
Yeah.
But I think, I think you probably need to go to like, sexually whatever they call it now, sexually maladaptive treatment. Which is really hard to find people who specialize in that. But that's probably where you need to go.
But I think we've said it on here before. We're very supportive of lots of things, lots of people, but you have to live your truth, but you can't impact other people's truth at the same time.
Right. You cannot, you can't be rubbing yourself up against somebody and having a moment to yourself right afterwards. We can't be doing that.
No.
Not in today's day and age.
I like your idea of like, tell your partner like, hey, like I just have this thing. I know it takes away the consent part, like they're going to know it's coming, but at least then you can do it on your own time.
Right.
And it's somebody who is at least consented and not somebody on the subway.
I will say I see that again, Queen of Reddit right here. Just the Queen of Reddit. That's a thing that happens a lot. There are a lot of people who they call it consenting non-consent. There's a lot of like people who write into different relationship forums or whatever, basically saying that they have given their partner the okay to like trigger warning, essentially rape them. Like they're okay with it as long as they don't know when it's coming. Like this is something that they've consented to, and they have safe words and all that stuff. And I'm like, oh, that's actually not like a terrible that way you can like meet like, and if everybody's fine with it, then everybody's fine with it. But you could do the same thing for this. You could say, this is my thing. I like it. I'm not going to tell you when it's happening, but are you okay if I do this like in the confines of our home, I guess, or whatever you want to say.
Right.
I mean, I guess maybe that would help. I don't know. Like that would be, but yeah, a lot of people struggle with, I guess, relationships, so maybe they're not finding
that's right
partners like that. But
there's shame around it, like you said. But do you think if producer Justin came up to you and said, "Look, I like to rub randomly on people,"
Justin's face is really the best.
Would you allow him to rub up against you at any point he desired?
Probably not. I'll be honest. I'll be like, I'm not a big person who I'm not like a touch person. I hate that. Like stay 10 feet away at all times.
I love that you're sitting here like, just talk about it and you guys can consent to it. And then you're like, fuck, I wouldn't do that.
No, I wouldn't do it. I can say that's fine for other people. I wouldn't do it. I would not be something I would enjoy. No. No, I wouldn't do it. Would you?
Oh, I think I would. Yeah. It'd be whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
If it were Edward. Yeah. If Edward was like, look, I just like to rub on people, I'd be like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
And then he just like comes up to you randomly and like, I don't know,
like touches your shoulder, like runs a finger on your, like down your back. Cause like, I don't know, I guess that's where I'm like, I guess what's the line for this, but it doesn't have to be like sexual, I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
It doesn't have to be like I'm like touching your genitals. Like that's
what
I mean.
He wants to like role play like we're on the subway and it gets jostled and he's like and then like gropes me inappropriately. I'll be like, oh no, no. I don't like that.
I've been touched.
I've been touched. Touched by an angel.
It just happened. I don't know what happened.
I don't know what happened.
That's like, well, this is not in Frotteurism, but I feel like I have to tell this story because it's just one of my favorite things to tell people. Prison was my pre-prison days, and he was a little odd. He was very seriously mentally ill. He got and this makes me think of Frotteurism makes me think of him because I think possibly he was probably a frauder. But he decided one day he was riding the bus and he decided he would lick a child's foot because she was wearing sandals. And that's all he did. He just licked her and there was no other touching. He, of course, got charged with some type of sexual offense. I believe he was on the registry. But he didn't see anything wrong with it because he didn't like touch her like genitals basically.
Sure.
And working with him was probably the most interesting things I've ever done. Mostly because he definitely was very inappropriate. But when I think of Frotteurism, I think of him sometimes because I'm like, I wonder if he was. I mean, clearly, like licking somebody's foot is not like a, something you can just do. But I'm like, did he ever do anything that was like, and he never been caught and he was like, you know what? Today I'm just going to lick this kid's foot.
Right. What's the worst that can happen?
Well, the worst that can happen is you go to jail, you get an ankle monitor, and you cannot leave your home. You can only go to the front door of your apartment complex.
That's probably good. I mean, he probably had a feet thing, so he was probably into.
He definitely did. For a while, I had to go to his house with one of my male coworkers for a long time because he got to be a little. And
did he try to lick your feet?
No, but he was a little like he could be in his apartment, like, and he lived in a kind of a nice apartment. But he took us, like, everybody who went there, he took on a tour, which was fine, like, no big deal. But then he tried to, like, trap you, like, in the basement of the apartment, because I had, like, a gym and laundry services. So one time he tried to take me down there, and he was like, look at this gym. And I was like, yeah, it looks cool. And I'm in the hallway just, like, looking into and he's like, no, come in. And I was like, oh, no, I'm not coming in. I was like, I don't live here, so I can't, be in here. He's like, oh, yeah, you can. And then he would, like, kind of, like, try to block the door. And, I mean, it wasn't like a slick thing he did. Like, it was very obvious what he was trying to do. Again, he was very mentally ill. And then he got a little weird with all of the female staff. And then our one male coworker had to go with us when we went to his house because he just became way too much. I was honestly shocked. I never saw him in prison. I was shocked because I just felt like he was upping the ante sometimes. Like, and like I said, I wondered if he did something along the lines of like Frotteurism, and then just it wasn't enough at a certain point, and then it kind of delved into like, I'm actually gonna lick somebody's foot. Yeah. But that's my fun story of the day.
Well, but again, find a nice a nice lady friend who likes to get her feet licked and then lick her feet.
Yeah, it's probably not that hard.
I don't want anyone to lick my feet. Not my thing.
Not mad about it.
So
on that note,
I've
got a little would you rather.
Okay.
I'm calling it the weird edition because I don't know what a great title is for it other than because it's kind of like random. And the first one I feel like I know what your answer is going to be. But I feel like this made me laugh really hard when I read it. So, would you rather weird edition? Would you rather get $1 every time you compliment a stranger or $10 every time you insult a stranger in the meanest way possible?
Like to their face?
You either compliment them and get $1 or you get $10 if you insult them in the meanest way possible to their face.
But to a stranger? See, I'm not very mean to strangers. We've had this conversation where I'm nice to strangers.
Right, same. I'm nice to strangers,
but then I'm also thinking like, so if like someone cuts me off in traffic and I'm like, you motherfucker, like would I get $10?
No, but you're saying
because I do that a lot.
You'd be like, you motherfucker, your eyebrow looks real fucked up today. Like that's like you're insulting them in the meanest way possible.
Your one eyebrow.
Right.
Your
one eyebrow looks jacked.
Jacked. So then I would get well then I'll go with that then because then I would get $10. That would be easier.
I feel like I would do. It sounds awful, but I would rather have $10 every time I insulted somebody. And I probably wouldn't do it very often, but I'd rather get
But I wouldn't do it to like the 70-year-old
No.
Like only if they deserved it.
No, if I saw some dude being stupid, I'd walk up
like
to him
someone with
like,
a baby on board, I'd be like, fuck your baby and your baby on board. Your baby looks like a boiled potato and I hate it. $10, please. Like
yeah. I got you. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Canceled.
Everybody's listening is like, I'm done. This is enough.
I'm done. This is dark-sided.
This dark-sided. Would you rather be immortal or be given $1 billion tax-free?
Immortal.
I think I'd take the $1 billion. I don't know why. I just feel like
we've had this conversation. You don't want to not that you want to die, but you don't like the idea of eternal life.
Yeah, I don't know that I want to see the world burn. Like I really don't. But then I'm like, if you're immortal though, you could probably make $1 billion over time. It's just all the time you get.
Right.
Okay, this is a strange one, but would you rather be constantly sticky or constantly itchy? Your
Oh my God, neither. I hate both of those.
I think I'd rather be sticky.
ah,
As somebody who is pretty itchy because of allergies, it's fucking awful. Like to have itches and you can't be like scratching. I'd rather be sticky.
I think I'd rather be itchy. The thought of being sticky sounds worse. Because at least with itchy, I can itch myself and I'll get like that relief,
I feel like
even momentarily.
yeah.
Being sticky, you're just like,
I feel like it's easier.
I don't like that.
I feel like
like
it's
that.
easier to stop being sticky than it is to stop being itchy. But
Ugh.
would you rather live in a world where it constantly snows or constantly rains?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that?
I like both of those.
I think I think I would go with always rains. I love snow, but I think I would go rains because snow could be.
Yeah, I think I would go with
much.
rain because if it always snows, that might be too much. So I think I would go rain too.
It's a lot. Would you rather find out a long-standing conspiracy theory was true, or find out a juicy piece of gossip only you know?
Oh, juicy gossip! I know.
You're the only person who can know it. You'll take that one. I think I would take that one too. I don't know that I would do the conspiracy theory because I don't think that.
Because then I would tell people like, "Oh, I know something you don't, but I can't tell you."
Yeah, I just don't think. I don't know. I feel like the conspiracy theory would like shatter some type of like fourth wall in my own mind.
Well, we're already living that because aliens are real.
Right.
So,
oh my God.
Like next.
Next. They've seen us. They said no thank you. You guys
said no thank
you guys are cracked and we're done. That's how they feel.
Right.
I if there are aliens out there, they're just like, you know what, we're not gonna do nothing. We're not gonna enslave them. We're not gonna do nothing. They're gonna do it themselves.
They're not useful.
We just have to wait like 100 years and then they're all gonna be dead. It's fine.
Right.
It's fine.
We'll come back. We'll fix their planet in 5 seconds. It's fine.
Yeah. And whoever's left is probably the survival of the fittest.
Right.
Last one. Would you rather have your hand stuck in a jar or get your head stuck in a bucket?
Ooh, hand in a jar.
Same. I don't think I could deal with my head being stuck in a bucket.
No.
I think I would freak out.
See. Yeah.
I think I would freak out.
Oof,
well, that was the Would You Rather Weird Edition.
Those were icky.
There were some other really icky ones that I felt like I probably shouldn't read these. Probably no one should read these. I can't remember what any of them were, but there are a couple I was like, oh my God. A lot of them were like
dark-sided.
Real dark-sided. Like one of them was like, if you like, would you rather shit every time you have an orgasm or like I'm not joking. This was the one. It said, would you shit every time you have an orgasm, you shit, or have a 5% chance of saying the N-word at any given moment of your life? I'm like, what kind of a question is that? There were some other ones that were like poop or pee based. It was like, one of them was, would you rather pee a child or what was would you rather pee a child or something weird with a child? I was like,
pee a child,
like you would pee out,
like pee it out.
Yeah, like you would rather, like you would, instead of giving birth the normal way, you'd pee it out.
Oh no.
Or would you rather? And then the other one was even worse. I was like, no one should read these. I'm like, these are these were like the more tame ones that I found. But yeah, would you every time you have an orgasm or 5% chance you're going to say the N-word at any given moment?
Well, isn't every white person at a 5% risk of saying the N-word at any given time?
I feel like the risk is probably higher than 5%.
Well, for some,
depending on where you're from and what you do with your time. I guess.
Well, speaking of dark-sided, this episode went
south. We were doing some really good clinical stuff, and then we just got to the OnlyFans part, and
feet finders.
We went down
pooping, peeing.
It's all those things.
It's all fine.
Well,
it's all that Reddit that you've introduced to us.
I feel like
it's your fault.
I feel like I have gotten a little more evil. With the Reddit, I don't know. It feels like I read stories and I'm like, oh my God. But I see, and people will like comment and they're like, these stories are fake, and I'm like, that's fine if they're fake because they're really good. I don't read the stories and think they're fake. Some of them I do, but not all of them. But yeah, it's made me a little bit more evil, I think.
You're going to become so desensitized. You're going to be like on Reddit watching full on like an actual video of someone getting murdered. And you're going to be like,
I can't. Oh my God. There was a post. Yes.
Right.
There was a post last night. It was like, what was the most fucked up thing you've seen on Reddit? The number of people basically saying they've seen like people get decapitated or murdered on Reddit is a ridiculous amount that I was like, I could never look at that.
I don't know. You're going down a slippery slope. We
May
may have to intervene at some point.
a lot of what I follow on Reddit is Sims based. So I mean,
that sounds about right.
It is, yeah. It's mostly Sims based, and then I follow those subreddits that give us the stories, and that's about it. But
great.
It's dark sided. I will say that it's an evil thing.
It is evil.
You're gonna get
there is evil here.
What was that? Why? Oh my God, she said something like that. Oh my God, that wife swap lady too. That we've talked about her in a different episode that maybe hasn't come out yet. But that lady from the wife swap who was super religious. What was that? She said something that was like really like, I don't remember what her thing was, but it was like, this is evil, or like evil lives here. Do you remember that?
Oh, she was talking about how they're not a Christian. She's like yelling.
Yeah, she was like screaming like, this is evil, like this, you're not Christian. Yeah, you're a devil woman or whatever her name is. Yes, that's right. Yeah, she
classic.
I need your prayers. It was
right.
Yeah.
She was a prayer warrior.
I wonder where she is these days.
I bet she's dead. I bet you she's dead. I'm serious. I think she's dead.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I don't remember what her name was. I'm gonna look it up though. I'm gonna find. Yeah, she was God's warrior. That's right.
God's warrior.
That's right. She was that's right. She was very there was one that actually came up on my, this is such a sidebar. Justin's probably so upset with us right now.
He's probably like, I'm gonna edit all of this out.
There was one where it came up on my Instagram For You page. It was like an old clip of, it was a black family and a white family, and the from the black family, the wife went to the white family and vice versa. And so when the black woman went to the white family, she cooked for them, and she actually like used, seasoning and stuff and when they came back to meet and they were talking, the white husband was like, oh my God, her food was so great. And the white lady's face looked like she was going to fucking kill him. It was the funniest thing. And then the black woman commented on the video, and she was like, hey, thanks for, like reposting this. It's been a long time. It was a really interesting, and she and her husband are like TikTok, Instagram famous, and they do like really funny skits. I thought it was hilarious. It was really cute. I thought it was so funny. And she was like, yeah, it was a very interesting, to say the least, experience. But the white husband was like, her food is so good. Why can't you make food like that? It was it was really funny. Anyways, wife swap. We should that would be a good, I need to start writing these ideas down, but that would be a good thing to delve into psychologically, was the trading spouses or the wife swap stuff, because that was, did you ever watch that when it was on TV?
Some of them, not a lot, not very many.
Oh, I watched a lot of them. Sorry, Mom. My mom's probably listening, and she's probably like, what?
She probably explains a lot.
Yeah,
explains a lot.
The God's warrior thing. Anyways, well, on that note, we are God's warriors, and
well,
anybody listening to this is like, please stop.
Please stop.
You're
Please
not.
end.
You guys are done. But we hope you stay tired.
And petty.